Hello and welcome to the Come Let's Sit Down and Talk show. We are here for another episode and thank you again for joining. I am Master Life Coach and Chief Curator for Embrace You Coaching, also known as Miss Get You Together. And we have another guest on our show for tonight. How are you today, Pastor Jones?
I am doing wonderful.
Great. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight. It is such a pleasure to have you in the space and coming to just share, with us. All right. Homeboys.
Okay.
Grew up in the same neighborhood.
You know it.
Representing Grand Park.
GP.
I have to tell people, don't try me.
Don't do it.
I'm from Grand Park.
I get a surprise.
Yeah, it's there.
Yes.
How she say, ain't no killer, but don't
push me.
Don't push me. So, Pastor Jones,
Yes.
tell us about yourself.
Ooh, wow. Straight out the gate.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to sit back.
You know what? Oh, wow. I like to consider myself just a down-to-earth individual.
Okay.
A person that's not so heavenly minded that they're no earthly good. Family man, husband, pastor, friend, brother, son. And I love every last one of them. I love people. I love being able to have impacts on people's lives as well as being impacted by people's lives. So, I think that's me in a nutshell. I love God. I love people. Love family.
That's half of the puzzle right now.
Listen, half of it.
G.I. Joe said, knowing is half the battle.
That's what he said.
That's it right now. So tell us about your ministry. How long have you been in ministry?
Wow, I started back in 2003. And, since there, becoming a minister, 2008, I got ordained as an elder. 2013, I was installed as pastor at Philippians Community Church. And so, it's just been a blessing. I would say that I've pretty much been preaching all of my life in the sense of, since about middle school. But as far as church, quote unquote, with the paper behind me, I would say 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the church you pastor, your dad was formerly the pastor, so you was a preacher kid.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about that experience.
Oh, wow. Unlike most, I've had a wonderful experience as being a preacher's kid. And I think part of that is because I got into, the faith at an early age. And so because of me getting into the faith at an early age, allowed me and my dad to have a lot in common. So there were a lot of late nights, man. We would stay up. I'm watching him read his word and I'm just at the kitchen table, just eating, We're eating, he's talking and I'm eating it up. And then I love the liberality that he had. I've heard so many horror stories about Christian parents. Sometimes they could be overly strict, sometimes raising their child in somewhat of a prison. But our father, my dad, just basically taught us the truth about Christ, truth about life. And then from there allowed us to make decisions. And I think because of that, it allowed myself as well as other siblings to make a decision on our own to come to Christ. And when that decision is made on your own, you're more apt to stick and stay, opposed to being pushed and, you got to do this and you got to do that. And so, my PK childhood years, it was fun. I could talk to my dad about anything too. So that made it better, being able to talk to him about girls growing up or drugs growing up, things of that nature. He was real touchable, real down to earth. And so, my experience as a PK kid, I'm grateful for it. It's a good experience.
I know your dad. And so having seen him growing up in the same neighborhood, like me and Aaron, we're along the same age. So seeing him, you had a great example.
Yes.
Like he was him in everywhere he went. So it's not like that he was one person in the church and then another person in the neighborhood, because that wasn't him. And from what I've known of him, he's always been consistent.
You hit it. You hit the nail on the coffin. That's it. And I think that's what, a lot of times what's missing. A lot of times these kids growing up in churches or parents are Christian or have faith, it's the problem comes when I see one person in the building and another person when I get home. And I got to agree with you, my old man. Like I tell people, I know my dad is not perfect. No human being is perfect. But I'm I don't want to give my age, but how old I am, I've still have never heard my dad use a profane word. I've never seen him get upset to the point where he lost control. And he's been in some tough situations, but he's always remained in control. But I think because of that example, him remaining the same, it gave me hope, and I think that's another good point for Christian parents is, hey, I don't think that it's necessarily about perfection, but consistency. I like what you said. You got to be consistent. Yeah. And that's the key.
I know growing up as a preacher's kid, my mom's she was pastor, and she's retired and close to church now because she's 80-something years old.
Okay.
She don't like for us to tell her age, so yes, I had to think about it. She's 80-something. Yeah. She was, my parents allowed me liberty. Yeah. And that was one of the biggest things. And I say to people, like, I've been in church all my life, and they'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, no. My mama went in labor on her way to church.
Oh, wow. Yeah, literally all my life.
All my life. Like, my dad was being ordained as deacon that Sunday. And they literally had to drop him off and then take her to the emergency room. So while he was being ordained deacon, my mom was in labor having me. So, yeah, literally all my life. But I was able to be a child. Yes. I was able to do things. Like, they never, said, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. They gave me parameters.
Very good.
I would be the one who had the vehicle, but I was the only one who had curfew. So I would be like, hey, come on, let's go. I got to meet curfew,
Get back home.
I got to get home, because they gave me those parameters, and then they taught me how to make decisions as to what's going to be your decision that you're going to make about what the outcome of this situation is going to be. So that really, it kept me, it grounded me. And like you, I accepted Christ in my life. I was, the first time I was 11. And this was when they used to do Christ Alives, the crusade. And I accepted Christ then. But my relationship didn't come until I turned 18. And, but I tell people, I don't know anything in the church I haven't done. Like, you growing up in the church, I was the choir director, I was head of the usher board. Like, I've always been in leadership in church. So that has kind of remained my role. So when it comes to being in ministry, the ministry that your father lead pastor prior to you, how did that bridging process go?
Right now we're actually still currently bridging, and I love it because I think first of all the natural son to a natural father, it helps the transition from the spiritual father, spiritual son, because there's a natural respect there. There's a natural, he eats first, I eat second, and I think that type of respect allows that bridging and that transition to go over well. I think where most people get in trouble is that when the younger feels entitled to something that the older has labored for. And so me coming into it, the transition definitely isn't difficult because I respect and honor what he has labored for and what he has done. And I also realize that it is really an opportunity because he doesn't have to transition it to me. And so it's really an opportunity and a blessing that he's even willing to say, hey, you could come in and minister on some of my Sundays. And so the transition has definitely been, it has been a blessing. The other thing I would say too, that has helped the transition be a blessing is I respect and love how my father is open-minded. It's not something that I'm finding out that it's not something that's common. Sometimes people have been around so long, they have done things a particular way for so long until they're not open to change and don't realize that, hey, the gospel remains the same. The word remains the same, but sometimes the delivery and what we may use in order to compel people to come, that may change. And so I think because of his open-mindedness with some of my younger ideas, it has allowed the transition to go over well. And I tell people this story now, and I'll downshift here, right? I only know how to bake one cake, right? Cake my father taught me how to bake. And so, whenever we bake it, we put pecans on it. Everybody eats with the pecans on, except for my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter, Jalen, she's outspoken. She told me one day, I like the cake, but I don't like the pecans. And so in that, The thought came, sometimes the delivery of the word is the same.
Mm-hmm.
The making of the cake itself is the same, but everybody don't like pecans on their icing.
Oh, that's good.
And so sometimes you may have to add pecans. Sometimes you may have to take away the pecans, but just make sure you keep the cake the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that, man, I think because he is open-minded, it allowed the transition to flow over well, and it allows our ministry to stay relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you look into a church, man, and everybody in there is 70 and older, that's the church that's getting ready to close down real soon.
Yep.
And they have to remain relevant. So the transition has been good, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, especially when your dad was able to take over a church that he labored in from the ground floor.
Yes.
The Honorable Bishop Callahan, like he did the work, and your dad was right there alongside. So it is great that he is open to what needs to happen for this next generation.
Yes.
So that the church can continue to grow from generation to generation. A lot of times what leaders fail to do is to put a succession plan in place.
Very good.
And when that succession plan is not properly put in place, your vision dies with you. Like you've not empowered anybody else to take on what you have created, the work that you've done.
That's it.
Either because of, I don't want to give anybody that much information about what I do and how I do it, because they may take it, or we just don't know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Most.
You saying a mouthful?
Yeah, most companies build into the fiber of their company a succession plan.
Yes, ma'am.
In the Bible, the Old Testament shows so many succession plans. Like, if I die, this is who take over. This is what they get. After they get it, then this is who you get it. Then this is who get it. Specific, written out, everything, so that it continues to live on. We don't focus on building legacy.
Yeah, I love it.
And say a good father leaves a legacy.
Generations. I love it. I love it. You said something I thought was so good about just empowering people. And even the basis of the gospel, you look at Christ, greatest leader ever known to mankind, of course, in my personal little opinion, but he empowers his followers. Go to Acts chapter 2, go to the day of Pentecost, and I'm going to give you what? Power. He was empowering them. Yep. And that's something that, some people are missing. You could be the greatest leader in the world, but you got to empower somebody before you leave. And so you have said, I know you said you're the daughter of a preacher.
Yes.
Yeah, but you might got a little preaching you somewhere, nice. You might not be behind nobody's microphone, but you got to preaching you somewhere. You hosting and preaching today.
Listen,
preaching.
You in the vein because I'm actually launching a ministry.
Wow.
Just had my first virtual Bible study on last Tuesday.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Preaching. You know what's in there.
Yeah, you did on it. It is the empowering part as a life coach. That's part of like one of our pillars is to empower people. And a lot of times that empowering isn't really doing anything or really giving them anything, but just helping them to see what already lies within them.
Yes.
One of the scripture bases that we use, it says that the mind of a man is deep, but for someone who can draw out of a man what's in them. And that's what we do. And we do that by just simply asking questions, posing questions to draw you to your answer. And that empowers people to make their own decisions.
Yes, ma'am.
And you talked about your father allowing you all to make that decision, and it is so vital. That was the topic for the Bible study, is the decision. What we don't do is live life as if it is decisions, and it just happened.
Come on.
You get what you plan for. even if it's not planning.
That's right. Even if it's not planned.
Yeah, you're
I
gonna
love
get
it.
what you plan for.
Yes.
So it is the empowering part. Like, I'm a big fan of John Maxwell, and that's one of the things as a
Awesome.
leader. He says that you have to empower your people. Like, some of the things that we have to empower people to do is to give us pushback.
That's it. That's it.
Challenge our thought process.
Yes.
Ask questions. You know, if you are a leader and you're intimidated by your people asking you questions, like, you're not a leader, you're a tyrant.
That's it. Come on. You run the dictatorship down.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
So empowering people to be there, also empowering people to be able to help you.
Yes.
Because you can need help and they can know what you need. But if you've not empowered them to help you,
they'll sit right there. Ship sinking, and they can stop it from sinking.
And they're gonna look at you going down.
SOS. You know, it's so good that you're saying it, because there's just so much confirmation with even how, you know, I operate as a leader. Mm-hmm. You know, I believe in putting people in position and empowering them. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, I want your creativity. You know, I don't want to have to put you in leadership and then have to come create it myself. I'm putting you here because I believe there's something in you. And so I want you to come up with the idea. And I'm that kind of leader. You know, most people may not agree. I'm that kind of leader. I don't mind trying it one time. Yeah. You know, Pastor, I don't know if it's going to work. Hey, I don't either. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Mm-hmm. One thing about it, we'll still be alive. It ain't going to kill us if we try. Yep. You know, you might hit it, might strike gold. And it's okay to fail. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I think sometimes, man, you have some leaders, they want to micromanage everything. Not empower people to develop, mm-hmm. you know, and allow them to have some type of decision making and some type of creativity. And I think it hinders the body of Christ.
It does.
You know, that's why God has the body of Christ. Yep. It wasn't just your mind and your thought pattern. There's somebody over here that thinks totally different from you. Mm-hmm. Got an idea you never would have thought of, but because you've empowered them, you know, they are allowed to grow. They are allowed to develop. And at the end of the day, they will help you. Mm-hmm. Now, and I'll say this, and I'll downshift. You know, I don't know how much of a sports fan you are, but I'm a big time sports fan. Okay. Right? And so I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. Okay. Right? Now, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, the greatest to ever play the game. Of course, I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. But I said all that to say, Michael Jordan had a sidekick by the name of Scottie Pippen. Yep. And when he gets there, he understands that in order for me to achieve my goal, Scottie Pippen has to develop as a player. So guess what? They had to start putting the ball in Scottie Pippen's hand. You know, and so sometimes when we become those leaders that are the dictatorship type of leader, it's like the ball always has to be in your hand. It always has to be your way. And guess what? You'll look good doing it that way. But it's very a slim chance that you won't win any championships. Yep. If you want to win, you got to give other people an opportunity to develop. So I'm definitely agreeing with you 1,000% on that.
Yep. I say it oftentimes this way, is that oftentimes as leaders, we train our people with an appetite for only our voice. Mm. So I only want to hear what you have to say, but that's like you training your child to only eat broccoli.
Come on.
It might be good, but there's so many other nutritional values that they're missing, but you're not giving them an opportunity to eat anything else. It's like a leader who feels like it always has to be their voice. And it doesn't always have to be your voice. T.D. Jakes said, he said, if you find people who have your heart, you can teach them your vision. Mm-hmm. And so as a leader, that's what I do. I look for people who have my heart. Yes. Or someone who I can teach my heart. So I will pull them in and I'll teach them, this is how I think. This is my process. In this situation, this is what I'll do, because there is a likelihood that you may have to speak on my behalf. And if you speak on my behalf, you gotta know what I will do in this situation. You know, and when you make that decision, I'm gonna back you because you made that decision. And whatever else has happened, we'll deal with. Like you said, we ain't gonna die. We just And one of my favorite quotes is with Nelson Mandela. He says, I either win or I learn. Come on. So even if it doesn't work out the way we did, we learned the process. Yes. Sir. And that helps us to develop and create, to know the next time I might not need to go this road. Let's try this because you learned the lesson. And sometimes the lesson is more important than meeting the goal.
You're right.
Like, because once you get the goal, the goal is done. Mm-hmm. But when you learn the lesson in the process, like even though you've met that goal, you've moved on, you still have those lessons.
That's it. Can't take it from you if you learn that lesson.
Nope.
Yeah. And you said something else, and I can't leave this on the table because I thought it was so good. Just being open as a leader for people to have that ability to come to you and ask questions or to have a difference of opinion, to get that feedback. And that is something that, as far as my heart as a leader, it has always been there. When I'm talking to those that I serve, I'm saying, hey, listen, I don't mind the feedback. I don't mind if I get up and I say something and it's not 100% clear. You come back and say, hey, what does this mean? How does this play out? What was this about? I don't mind that because so many people don't want to be challenged. Yeah. And I have this saying, if your truth can't be challenged, then it's not truth.
Oh, that's good.
Anything that's true, it has, and if what you're speaking and what you're standing on is true, then it should be able to be challenged and withstand that challenge. And so I love those characteristics. It's definitely one of those things that as a leader, I think every leader should have.
Yep. In my life coaching certification course, I every class I do, I ask, tell me about how did the course work for you? What didn't work? What can we do to make it better? And it has progressed from when I first started with 2 coaches to now my classes run between 15 and 20 coaches.
Awesome.
But I always ask them, as the curator, I know my course as a curator. I've never taken it. So I need you to tell me what it's like to take it. I've been in corporate America all my life. I had my first job at 16 at AT&T. Everybody worked at American Trace. Yeah. So in watching the things that they do in corporate America, it worked for them. They still floating. So I'm like, if it worked for them, I'm gonna have to try it. So having focus groups, asking people. So tell me, how did this work? What you didn't like about it, and being able to receive the feedback and it not trigger your insecurities and you take it as if somebody is criticizing you. No, that was their experience and it's valid. One of the things I say to leaders, and I coach a lot of pastors, is that as a leader, you've got to have a place where you can go and get truth.
That's right. So important.
You got to have someone around you don't feed. T.D. Jakes said, if everybody around you, you feed their fans.
Come on.
You're in trouble if you ain't got nothing but fans, because people who you feed, 99.9% of them, they ain't gonna really tell you how they truly feel.
You gotta have somebody to tell you that.
You gotta have a truth teller. Yeah. You gotta have somebody who I tell them, you need somebody who don't want nothing from you.
And gonna tell you like an IS is. I can't tell like I want to. Well, if we had a lot more folk had that, we'll be in a better place right now.
Right.
Yes.
You gotta have somebody who just gonna say no.
Or either they exit them out of their life. Somebody who it's too. Oh no, you hate. Everybody's not hating on you. Everybody's not a hater. Nope. You got some people who genuinely love you, and they just want to tell you like it is.
I tell the leaders in my coaching class, and as a matter of fact, I just had this conversation, and I told them it seems hard because nobody's challenged you. Mm-hmm. Nobody's told you the way that you think ain't normal.
Come on.
Nobody said to you, you can't. You wounded. You need help. Mm-hmm. You're bleeding on the people you lead. Nobody is taking the time to challenge them because everybody is consistently drawing, and
that's right.
Ain't nobody saying to you, bro, you bleed.
Yes. You need to get help yourself. You helping, but you need to get help.
You're a wounded healer.
Come on.
Yep. Absolutely. It has really been a pleasure speaking with you on today. So where can they find you? Are you on social media? So tell us where we can find you.
I'm on social media, Instagram. You can follow me at Jones C Jr. And so you type that in, you'll find me on Instagram. And then on Facebook, you can locate me by my name is, again, Virgil Jones Jr. Or on my pastor's page, Pastor Virgil Jones Jr. Or on Philippians Community Church's page. That's all three of those, are on Facebook. And so you can find me on Facebook or on Instagram. I post quotes and different sermons. I also do prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 a.m. It's a live prayer. It lasts for about 20, maybe 25 minutes, where we start our day off with a quick word and a quick prayer for your day. And we do it live. This is on Instagram and on Facebook. So please feel free to join us any one of those mornings, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Get your quick word, get your quick prayer, start your day off, man, the right way. And, so if you want to, check us out on what we're doing at Philippians or what I'm doing in my ministry, you can check us out on those platforms.
Thank you again.
Yes.
And thank you again for joining us, you coming, sharing, and thank you for joining. Have a good day.
With Embrace You, I found a career.
At Embrace You, I found a family.
At Embrace You, I found me.
Are you the strong friend who's always giving advice? Are you the one always mentoring and coaching? Have you thought about being a certified life coach? Because here at Embrace You, we have room for you in our family.
I am Embrace You.
I am Embrace You.
I am Embrace You.
And you can be Embrace You.